I've mentioned before that there is a technique for praying the scriptures that has us identify with one or more of the actors that are in the story. And we try to imagine what it would have been like for them as the encounter takes place. And as you experience the scriptures in this way, you try to be sensitive to the emotions or feelings or intellectual message that you might receive. Let's try that technique with the gospel that we just heard from Matthew. We could identify with Jesus, or the Canaanite woman, or one of the disciples. Let's be one of the disciples. Our reflection might go something like that, like this. Here I am walking with Jesus in this strange territory, and this wild woman comes running up and starts yelling at Jesus. She says, "Heal my daughter. She's been suffering for many years." But Jesus doesn't say a thing. He gives her no response. He just brushes her off. That's unusual, because normally Jesus engages with just about anyone. He spoke to that woman at the well. He talked to the lepers. He engaged with disabled folks, but not this woman. She yelled, and he just walked away. Wonder why? Finally, the woman's yelling and screaming gets to me and my colleagues, my other disciples, and we beg Jesus to get rid of her. Send her away. She's just being a pest. But Jesus doesn't dismiss her. He makes the statement that I've been sent really to the chosen ones of Israel. And it's not right to take from the children and give it to the dogs. He called her a dog. That wasn't a compliment. Quite an insult. But I understand where Jesus is coming from. The Canaanites were outsiders. They weren't part of the chosen race. So Jesus is protecting the chosen ones. The Canaanites, well, they were the enemy. That woman was clever. She took the insult about being a dog and turned it around. And she said to Jesus, "But even the dogs eat the scraps that come from their master's table." And with that, Jesus changed his mind. Jesus took another decision. He began to engage her. Not only to engage her, but to compliment her on the great faith that she had. This foreigner he's complimenting. And then he says, "Go home. Your daughter's been cured." What can we learn from that reflection? After we go through the experience, we need to think about what happened. Well, for one thing, we need to say that Jesus doesn't always answer our prayers, at least right away. Sometimes he might ignore us, just as he ignored the Canaanite woman. Our prayers go unanswered. But just as the woman persisted, so must we. We pray again and again and hope that our perseverance will pay off. "Lord, heal me," or "heal my loved ones from this terrible illness that they have." "Lord, help me find a good job." "Lord, Lord, Master, Master," we pray, and no answer is forthcoming. Or at least we think we know what the answer should be, and that's not the answer we're receiving. But as one spiritual writer said, don't forget, no is a legitimate answer. Another thing we might learn from our reflection and meditation is that we ought to be aware of the presence of Canaanites in our midst, not literally, but people that we consider outsiders. They're the enemy. They're not worth our attention. We just ignore them. The challenge we have to understand is to include them. It's the message of the first reading from Isaiah, that all are welcomed into the temple of the Lord. And that was radical teaching from Isaiah. And you could see that it even goes down to the time of Jesus, that there was a sense of exclusivity. And the message that we hear in the gospel today is, no, even the Canaanite can have faith. Even the Canaanite is worthy of respect, my attention, my care, my love. Matthew's gospel speaks to you and me today. Are we listening?